But we have a lot to be thankful for. A lot.
Yeah, sure. Amen.
1 second. Are you scheduled to be at the Leo Monsoon thing tomorrow? I'm to speak about tomorrow, or you'll
Tomorrow.
be
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Oh, you'll be there. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Okay. Yeah. Just tell you, my parents are both survivors. Also, my mother was in Auschwitz. My parents were survivors, and it was very, very interesting. They both came from very strong Hasidic families. And my father lost his entire family in the Holocaust. Nobody came back. He was the youngest of 7. 5 were married with kids. He lost his parents, his grandfather, and his paternal grandfather and his maternal grandparents. Again, his brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews. He was alone in the world. After the war, he went to the closest relative, who was the father-in-law of his sister, who didn't survive. My mother came out of Auschwitz. She lost her mother, her brothers, and a sister. She was alone with one sister, and their father had made it to the States just before the war. He's trying to get the family out. And then the war broke out. There she was, alone with her sister. So she went to her uncle, who happened to be the same person that my father went to. They met there. She approached my father and said, "You have no one in the world. Let's get married. I'll take care of you." That's how it happened. And the two of them decided, we are moving to Israel, to Palestine. We're going to Palestine. Where did it come from? They were Hasidim. So my mother used to say, you don't understand. You think love for Israel was something that the Zionists brought into be? She said that she was brought up with this, her grandmother used to talk to her. Let's practice.
Zionists responding. Is it like the use of Yeah.
So she was brought up with this burning love for the land of the prophets. And my father was as well. They both were. And they decided they're going. And then my mother managed to contact her father, who was in New York, to let him know that she's engaged to marry and they're going to Palestine. So he telegrammed her back. That's the way it worked in those days, telegrams. I want to be at the wedding. I want to be at somebody's wedding. Please come to the States. So they decided they're going to go to the U.S., get married, and then come right back to Israel. By then, it was still Palestine, but it was going to be Israel.
What year was that?
What's this? This is 45.
45.
It's 45. Yeah. So my father, they were still in the DP camps at that time. My father joined Kibbutz Chafetz Chaim in Germany, where they were training them to come to Israel, spend half the day studying Torah and half the day working the land. I got a photo of my father in Kibbutz Chafetz Chaim in Germany, holding the Israeli flag. This is before the pre-state, holding the flag. Holding the flag. And that's what they did. They studied in the morning, and in the afternoon they worked the land. They tilled the soil, they were growing things, practice for what's going to happen when you come to Israel. They came to the U.S. and they decided, listen, let's make some money, then go back. They were in the U.S. for like 25 years. We were there for 25 years. I was born there, and my sister was born there. We were here for 25 years. And they always spoke about coming to Israel. I was brought up, we're going to Israel. At a certain point, my mother decided, we're moving to Israel, let's start buying furniture that's appropriate for Israel. First thing she bought was a broom, sweeping brush, because in Israel people have a merpeset, porch. So you can't just use the same broom as the house, you need one. It started with that, and they filled the house with a second set of furniture for coming to Israel. Then one day, my mother decided, we're selling the house. My father went along with it. It was okay. At age 20, I told my parents, I'm going to Israel. If you want to see me, you'll have to follow. I came to Yeshiva, I was in the mirror, and I get a telegram. No, I got a message. She didn't even send a telegram. A message from somebody else. That my mom is coming Hanukkah time, officially to visit me. But she really came to buy an apartment here. And she didn't tell my father. So I spoke to agents and we worked things out. She came for a week. The night before she left, she signed an apartment in Kiryat Moshe. She basically spent her life savings on a three more apartment on the third floor. They had sold a house in New York. She came back and told my father. He was a bit, and then he went for it. He went for it. He was very afraid of what he was going to be able to do in Israel when he comes here. You see, they had friends also that spoke of coming to Israel, but everyone came when they retired. My mom said, no, you come to contribute. You don't come to retire. So they came, they were in their 50s. My father was petrified because he had started out as an immigrant in the U.S. He started working in the garment industry. All the Jews went into the garment industry or diamond publishing. Went to the garment industry. He started at the very bottom of pinning the pockets onto the shirts so that it matched the pattern. At that time, he worked himself up to the top of the line. He made the pattern from the design. He was second after the designer. That position did not exist in Israel. He was afraid he was going to have to start over again. He didn't know what he was going to do. He was afraid. But listen, in our house, what mom said went. He was a good sport. They came here. The night before they left, they were at a wedding. And someone approached my father and said, I have the franchise. I make the shirts for the New York City Police Department. And I'm Jewish, and I want to give parnasa to Jews in Yerushalayim. I've been looking for someone who could run such a place, and I heard about you.
Wow.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So they came here. My mom was even better. She decided she went to Ulpan first. I don't know if you've heard of her. She was in Ulpan together with Sarah Finkel, Nassim Tzvi Finkel's mother. We were Ulpan together. My mom was great though. She was fluent. I mean, Hebrew was the seventh language she learned. She spoke Hebrew like an Israeli after Ulpan. She spoke, when speaking, she did not speak, she went out of the house, she would not speak English. She's got to speak Hebrew. This was she really picked it up, she spoke Israeli. She applied for a job in Hadassah as a medical secretary. Now, she had gone to elementary school in Czechoslovakia. That was the extent of her education. She had never studied medicine or anything else for that matter. She applied for a job as a medical secretary. But she had a presence. She had a presence, and they hired her. She started out in neurology, and then she worked her way up. She was a character. She was a character. She was a genius in systems and setting up systems. Eventually, she was the secretary to the head of the neurology of the nuclear medicine department, and then she took over the department. She completely redid the department. People waited for months to get results of brain scans. They didn't know if they were going to live or not live. She said, "This is disgusting. You can't do such a..." She completely redid the whole thing, and they listened to her. They took it. She redid. So basically, this woman with an elementary school degree was running the nuclear medicine department at Hadassah. She did that till she retired. These were the best years of their life. They came in their 50s. My mother lived to 90, my father to 98. They were just so happy. Remember, there's one time my mother was in the hospital then, she had surgery. I went to visit her, and she said, "You know, I taught you everything you know." And I said, "Yes," which is true. She taught me so much. She said, "But you have to remember, the most important thing I taught you was love of the land of Israel." So that's why I'm here. And I came 52 years ago, and thank God I've never left. Not for a day.
Really?
Not for a day. Rav Noach wanted to send me out on speaking tours. I just wouldn't go. I wouldn't go.
Did you come straight? Did you know straight away when you came here? Like, did you start studying with him then?
Rav Noach?
Like 52 years
No,
ago?
I met him. I saw him actually soon after I came, because that Aish was founded the time I came to Israel.
Yeah.
That's when I came to Israel. And I met him because he brought they didn't have a davening of their own for Rosh Hashanah. They came for Rosh Hashanah. They came to the Mir where I was. That was the first time I met Rav Noach. But it wasn't 2 years later that I got here.
How did you guys get in contact?
That was a funny one. It began with the Rebbetzin. The story is hilarious. Noah's wife she was also a water character. She opened a seminary for girls. But she had ideas of how you educate, and part of it was you pampered them. They had number one, they had an open account at the local grocery. They could buy whatever they wanted to, and the school paid for it. She hired the best teachers in Yerushalayim. Like the Ulpan teacher was the best Ulpan teacher. The Jewish history teacher was the best Jewish teacher. The Chumash teacher was famous, the best Chumash teacher in Yerushalayim. She hired the best. She found the best women in town to teach. The staff was awesome. So I was studying in the Mir, and I get a message one day, Rebbe Weinberg wants to speak to you. I knew of her, but I never met her. So I came to the house. She said, "I'm opening a school, and you're going to teach halacha." This is what I'm paying you, and I'm letting you choose your hours. That was the only thing she had to choose. So it was rather impressive. So I went for it. And I started teaching at school. Not that long after, Rav Noach came to the school and told us, "I've been footing the bill. This institution is too expensive. I'm going to have to close it." Rebbe Weinberg asked me to go negotiate with her husband. So this is the first time I really had a prolonged conversation with Rav Noach. And basically he gave me his whole philosophy. I fell in love with it on the spot. Like it was wow. So he said, "All right, let's make a deal. I'll reopen the school, but you got to come to Aish. That's how I got here.
Whoa.
Wow. And were you teaching halacha here when you started, or?
I started teaching halacha, but within months, he had me running the base medrash program.
Wow.
I had Rabbi Rossman's job.
That's cool.
And then they hired, I'm not a manager, I'm not an administrator. My field was education. So then he hired me, an administrator, to work with me. But I ran the base medrash, and then I developed the smicha program. And that's my history here. But what brought me to Israel was that, without question, it was my parents' love for Eretz Israel.
But then they end up staying, and you end up bringing them over.
But they came and they stayed. They came. They just loved it here so. They loved it.
Do you think you would live anywhere? I mean, do you think you'd be fine living anywhere else besides Yerushalayim, or like it has to be Yerushalayim?
When my parents were initially thinking of coming here, they were thinking of, my father thought he'd have to look for a job in the garment industry, and in those days textiles were near Tel Aviv. He didn't think he could live in Jerusalem, but then, it worked out. It worked out. They were able to. I told my parents, you want to live here. You want to live here. And they were so happy. They were so happy. See, Kiryat Moshe, the neighborhood they live in, Kiryat Moshe today is it's the Dati Lumi stronghold in Jerusalem. The parents of the kids that grew up in Kiryat Moshe were very much like my parents. They were survivors. A lot of Holocaust survivors there. They felt very much at home with them.
It's right by the, one stop past the train station?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's much fun.
And my father, I mean, I made it sound like, my father was some pushover. My father was the gabbai of every shul he ever davened in. He came here, he was terrible with languages, unlike my mother. He didn't speak a single language straight. He came to America, he lived in America for 25 years, his English was atrocious. It not only did he have an accent, but it was filled with Yiddish words. Even his Yiddish was mixed up because his parents came from Poland, they moved to Romania like it was a mixed up Yiddish. So he came here, his Ivrit was, it was not so intelligible. Within months, he was elected the Gabbai in the big shul of Kiryat Moshe. They loved it here so. They used to go on Friday, they used to go tour the country. They go everywhere, they loved it. Yeah.
Did they ever say when they were in the camps or anything, if they were the dream of coming to Israel, help them push through, or
I asked my mom, when you were in Auschwitz, did you think you were going to survive? So you know what she told me? Something very interesting. Her grandmother, the way it worked was she went to elementary school, and after that she was at home. What she did all day, she had an elderly grandmother who was a big tzaddiket, and she took care of her. She took care of her grandmother. She said her grandmother told her, you're going to have wonderful grandchildren. She said she knew she was going to survive, have children and grandchildren. She wasn't just in the camp. She met Mengele a couple of times also. She said she told my wife that it was a miracle she had 8 children. It was, they went through a lot. Yeah. So that's what kept her going. Yeah, but they knew. She said, my father said this also. The Holocaust taught us, you don't want to live anywhere else. You want to go home. In Czechoslovakia, where my mother grew up, she said that school friends, the non-Jewish school friends, were turning their own classmates into the Nazis. Imagine. Imagine. So, these were the girls we grew up together, we played together. They grew up with a lot of anti-Semitism. The Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox churches were there, and whoever the preacher was, the priest, every Sunday would remind them that we killed their God, and every Sunday they would go on a rampage. And Mom said, Sunday after church, you didn't walk out of the house. Your life was in danger. There were mobs everywhere looking for Jews. That Nazism didn't grow in a vacuum. The church supported incited anti-Semitism. It was part of life. The Eastern churches, same as the Crusaders. The Eastern churches were terribly anti-Semitic.
Wasn't the Pope at that time was one of the most anti-Semitic?
Yeah. Pious. Yeah. So that's my story, and that's where my love for the land comes from. And I hope I was able to impart some of that on you.
That's amazing.
Could I ask you, in the beginning you said it was a technical reason for the lack of Hallel?
Yeah, the question is what do you say Hallel for? Just to be a little more specific. Hallel is said when you're saved. The state was declared on the 5th of Iyar. The War of Independence broke out that day. So the question is, the declaration of the state, which was the beginning of the War of Independence, is that really the day that we were saved? It's a technical question.
When was the day that the war ended?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it ended with the armistice, which was bad.
Really?
The original borders were terrible. We lost the old city.
Yeah.
It was terrible. We had indefensible borders. There were no natural borders, just barbed wire. So the 6-Day War, it was impossible.
Could we say that whenever the 6-Day War we say Hallel, or is there any?
A lot of people say Yom Yerushalayim.
Yeah.
The day, Yerushalayim was saved that day, without question. Miraculously, yeah. The Jordanians were armed to the teeth. Their legions were well trained, and that they miraculously ran away. Nobody understands it. Nobody understands it. What were they? They were just so afraid. They didn't expect the Israelis to shoot them. They ran away. They took off their shoes, their boots, and they ran away.
What?
In Ammunition Hill, that's where the real battle was. That was a tough one. That was so many. Very few survivors there. It was today it's Ramat Eshkol.
Yeah.
But that was really with the Julians. They had dug in. They had trenches, and that was what they thought would protect the old city.
We were fighting from the north, or
we came in from Geula.
Where that's the one that's South after, right?
Geula is where Meir Shalom is?
Yeah. Oh.
So Geula and Malchei Yisrael. Are you familiar with the Schneller camp? Okay, the Israeli, today it's not a camp. What am I talking about today? It's a luxury housing project. Schneller was initially a British army camp. When the Brits left, the Jews and the Arabs were fighting over who's going to get it, who's going to take over it. So the Jews came from the top, the Arabs from the bottom, and the Jews got in first. And that remained a stronghold. And at the beginning of the Six-Day War, the Jews were coming from there, down towards Ramat Eshkol. Ramat Eshkol didn't exist then; it was no man's land. And they did not know, they did not realize how fortified it was. And one after another, every commander was killed. Then another one took over, and he was killed. And they just kept going. They just kept going until eventually there were no Arabs left. And then they made it. And from there, it was a breeze. The Arabs ran everywhere. And they took over the fair. At night, they got to the Rockefeller Museum, and the next morning, they came into the Lion's Gate, and they took the old city. So on Yom Yerushalayim, many people who don't say Halal Yom Ha'atzmaut say on Yom Yerushalayim.
What year did you get here?
I got here. What was the year? The 6th of the Yom Kippur War.
74.
Yom Kippur War was 73. I got here after the war. I'm saying I got here in 74. The war was in the autumn of 73, and I came in the spring of 74.
52 years. I'm trying to help.
Yeah. It was after the Yom Kippur War. It was bad. Like everyone had lost somebody, were wounded. People that were obviously wounded in the war all over the place. People in wheelchairs. It was not an easy time. The Kippur War was a bit of it came as a shock. After the Six-Day War, they were flying, and the Yom Kippur War brought people down to sand. It was very sobering.
That was when we made peace with Egypt?
Eventually. I was living here when we made peace with Egypt. I remember when Sadat came.
Yeah.
I remember, yes. Yeah. 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 Since then, I was here for the first Lebanon War, the second Lebanon War, the Iraqi Scud, the Gulf War. We've been through a lot here. There's nothing like living here. Guys, whatever you do, live in Israel. This is the place. You go back, you'll end up coming here as refugees anyway. You don't want to do that. Build your homes here.
When I came to Israel, I brought like half my stuff.
Okay.